If we're going to talk about gender and poverty, we need to talk about women's uncompensated labor, specifically as caretakers for children, for adults, for other members in the community, sometimes for children who are not their biological children. The Bible plays, or is expected to play, a role in every policy and proclamation of most Black churches. And while the authority of the Bible is high in many, if not most, African American churches, the web of implicit beliefs about the text and its norms are not always analyzed in conversation with explicit beliefs and confessions. So the questions I bring to the table are focused on how biblical interpretation shapes understandings of gender in order to talk about the relationship between gender and poverty, especially in the Black community. Gender and poverty intersect at the place of hierarchy, and women's poverty is set over and against the construction of masculinity. In that hierarchy, the male wage is unattainable for most women without regard to race or ethnicity. So that's the backdrop. How do our religious institutions and texts create and maintain constructions of gender that result in hierarchies, which in turn create and contribute to economic inequities? Are we advocating a type of idealized man and woman in our religious institutions based on our texts that set women up to be second-class citizens financially? How do valorizations of certain kinds of women, cisexual, heterosexual, married, producing children only in marriage, affect material wealth, health, and financial and overall well-being of all women in communities served by Black churches, particularly those women who are not valorized because they don't match those identity politics? And how do churches and other religious institutions in Black communities address the needs of women who do not meet their standards of womanhood or ladyhood? How is the biblical text used to censure women and limit their personal and economic flourishing? How can the biblical text be used to liberate women and their dependents from poverty? A, if not the major contributing factor to poverty in African American communities is the endemic underpayment of Black women, whether they are heads of household, partners in a household, or the sole provider and recipient of their income. What can faith communities do to address the wealth gap between 1 and 2 income households? How are we using our texts?